the narcissist in chief would project a complete false lie on a woman who was grieving her son. And according to Joe Biden, he recently said he was right about Afghanistan. I don't even know what that means by the fact that if he was right about wanting to see massive losses of American lives unneededly, I guess he was right. But this is not something that's acceptable. It's something that I do believe everybody involved, to include Biden, should be held accountable for. There's no reason for him to be that callous or that evil.
Look, just to remind everyone else out there of what you're talking about, Joe Biden claiming he's right. We have that clip. Roll it.
Yeah. There was a report on Afghanistan withdrawal saying there was failure, mistakes. Do you admit there was mistakes during the withdrawal and before?
No, all the evidence is coming back there. Remember what I said about Afghanistan? I said Al-Qaeda would not be there. I said it wouldn't be there. I said we'd get help from the Taliban. What's happening now? What's going on? Read your press. I was right.
I was right. Is he an idiot? Colonel Schaefer, they've completely taken over. It's a terrorist training ground central now. It's back to what it was pre-9/11.
Worse, because, again, we gave them all this equipment, Grant, that they're using or reselling to those who would see us do harm with it. So I don't even know how you circle the square with that comment from Biden. Again, we know what happened. He was not right. He was told what would happen. He was warned. He was given options. I know for a fact generals were giving him better options all the way up to the end, and he rejected them all. And the rejection of those sound options resulted unneededly in the death of 13 Americans and the loss of huge amounts of equipment that's going to be used against us now in some future conflict.
Look, real quick, nobody likes to admit when they're wrong. Nobody likes to make an apology. The federal government especially doesn't like to apologize for anything.
Oh, yeah.
And that's they're both administrations, right? Whatever administration. Right. But in this case, an apology is well-deserved for these families. Have you ever been part of anything where the military has apologized for, boy, we botched that one on you?
So there are occasions where you have men of integrity who basically own up to things. I've known a few officers, General Joe Dunford, former chairman of the Joint Chiefs, very proud to have worked and advised him. He would have, I think, done the honorable thing. Honorable men do honorable things. Grant, that's the problem. Nobody is honorable within the current chain of command from the top down. There's the old Japanese saying, the fish rots from the head. So I think we have a pretty rotten head that we're dealing with right now, unfortunately.
Yeah, sadly, I think you're spot on that, as usual. Lieutenant Colonel Tony Schaefer, I appreciate you weighing in tonight, as always. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Grant.
All right, absolutely. All right, folks, one thing that I take very seriously is my health. I try to eat right, but with my schedule, it's not always easy. So I know I need fruits and vegetables, like 6 cups a day, but that's nearly impossible for me to do. And according to a massive study, people who eat healthy live longer, have less heart disease and diabetes, and have less cancer. Truth is, you don't need to study to tell you that. It's common sense. I use Field of Greens, and I'll tell you why. Unlike other fruits and vegetable supplements, each specific fruit and vegetable in Field of Greens is medically selected to support specific functions like heart health, liver and kidney health, immune system, and metabolism. Field of Greens works fast, and if you're like me, you will feel healthier, have more energy. Everything will feel great, including your skin and hair will even look healthier. It can even help you lose weight. But the biggest benefit is the better health promise. Take Field of Greens, and if your next doctor visit, your doctor doesn't say, hey man, whatever you're doing, keep it up, it's working, just return Field of Greens for a full refund. So to help you get started, I got you 15% off your first order, plus get another 10% off when you subscribe for reoccurring orders. Visit fieldofgreens.com. Use the promo code GRANT. That's fieldofgreens.com, promo code GRANT. All right, coming up, the left is coming after your kids. But what are Republicans in government doing about it? Well, we'll speak to one Texas state senator who's trying to protect the kids in his state. That's next. You know, folks, as someone who lives in Texas, my studio's in Texas, and I'm proud of living in Texas here for almost 2 decades now, we have our share of problems. We have a state legislature in Texas that does not act very conservative, and many times, even though it's technically controlled by conservatives, it really isn't. We also have a problem with many cities doing very liberal things in this state that prides itself on conservatism and freedom and, of course, protecting children. You'd be surprised. We had libraries all across the state that were holding drag shows in front of kids. Well, Texas did pass a bill that would fine any business that was having sexually explicit shows for children, where children were there, $10,000. Now, if you can believe it, the ACLU is suing the state of Texas over that bill. Just to give you a taste of what we're up against here, this is a drag queen who was testifying against all these bills that Texas was trying to pass. Watch.
No matter what happens to this bill, we will be facing the repercussions of this rhetoric that y'all have legitimized by entertaining these ideas based in falsehoods. Just this past Saturday, we had open neo-Nazis waving flags with swastikas on them in protest of an all-ages event in New Braunfels. And north of us, on the same day, we had a gunman with the same kind of neo-Nazis ideation take the lives of 8 Texans going to the mall. By passing this legislation, you stand with the side of these hate groups and violence, real violence that is actually threatening our Texas children.
In many respects, I don't even know why I play it. But I want to show you that soundbite because it shows the deranged lunacy of these people on the left. The mall shooter in Allen, Texas had nothing to do with drag queen shows. The mall shooter in Texas has nothing to do with these bills, okay? So here's what we're up against. We're up against deranged lunatics that want to twist everything around, even in the state of Texas. And by the way, we had a bill that would have pulled state funding for libraries that have drag queen shows in them, and that bill didn't pass. And I blame, well, one, the Speaker of the House, who claims to be a Republican, Dave Phelan, on that not going through, because he's not really a conservative. Well, joining me now is a conservative. I've known him for many years. Texas State Senator Brian Hughes is with us. He was instrumental in getting many of these bills passed. Senator, it's great to have you on the program.
Grant, thanks for having me on, man. It's always a pleasure.
All right, so first off, am I wrong in letting the rest of the country realize that we have a legislature, a state senate that has a real problem when it comes to conservatism in Texas by people that call themselves conservatives but aren't?
So, Grant, these bills matter, and protecting children matters. We know that Texans are for that. You wouldn't think that would be a partisan issue, but remarkably, it turns into one. So, Senate Bill 12 that you've been talking about, as you say, if a business owner, if the controller of a premises allows a sexually explicit performance, one of these sexual drag shows in front of kids, like you said, $10,000 penalty. Also, in Senate Bill 12, which I was proud to author, it also says if you're a performer in that sexually explicit drag show, up to a year in jail and a $4,000 fine for you, on top of the penalty on the owner or controller of the premises. We have to get serious about this. If adults want to do drag shows and go to drag shows, hey, that's fine. Those are adults. But for children, surely we can all agree that we must protect children from this sexualized shows.
Yeah, and I will say, drag shows have changed from back in the 80s where maybe they weren't as sexualized as they are today. I watched some of these things. Some of my friends have shot video of. These are bumping and grinding like you'd never seen before in front of first and second graders, Senator Hughes. What is the ACLU? What is their defense of allowing that to happen before children, tiny children?
It really is shocking. And it's not like nobody's making this stuff up. The videos are there. People at these shows are putting them on social media and just unspeakable things. You've seen waving body parts, adult men waving body parts in the faces of little toddlers, just unspeakable stuff. And so I don't understand the basis for the lawsuit. We welcome defending this law in court because this is about protecting children. Law is very clear on this. We are on solid ground, and we'll fight it as long as we have to as many courts as we have to. This law has got to be upheld, and it will be upheld. It's a strong statute.
All right, so SB 1601, Senate Bill 1601, was this idea that, hey, we're not going to fund public libraries if you're holding drag queen shows in a public library. How does that not pass in the state of Texas?
That's right. So that bill made it through the Senate. It didn't quite make it through the House. When the governor calls us back for a special session in October, we hope to get that up again. 1601 was sort of a backstop. Senate Bill 12 covers all sexually explicit drag shows, but we hear so much about Drag Queen Story Hour for children at public libraries. So that bill was a targeted bill directed at libraries. With Senate Bill 12, we're covered against any sexual performance. But we also want to pass 1601 aimed directly at libraries. Grant, we think of libraries as safe places. You think about just turning your child loose at the library, let them read, let them learn, let them explore. It is tragic that that's not true in America anymore, and we have to get it back there where it's a safe place for children.
The Senate has been better. I'm going to put you on the spot here. The Senate has been better when it comes to passing legislation Texans want. Conservative Texans, freedom-loving Texans. The state legislature has not been as good. The Texas State House. What do we do to get the House on board with common sense?
We need more Republicans in the Texas House, more conservatives. As you know, the Republican majority is bigger in the Senate, and that makes a difference. And so we're thankful to see, like in the Rio Grande Valley, people are waking up to the fact that the Democratic Party is not the party of families and of working people. That message is resonating. And so as more people realize that, Grant, things like this cause people, traditional Democrats, to realize, man, that's not who we are. And so the hope is that this will bring more people to the conservative side when they realize how aggressive this culture war is from the left, from the radical left. So we'll elect more Republicans, more conservatives, and you'll see the bills get through the House and the Senate. And I'll say a lot of good, strong stuff got through both houses, but it's always disappointing. I mean, this is my bill we're talking about. You know I'm disappointed, but we'll be back again. We're not going to give up.
I know you will. You may not want to say it, but I will. I think the Speaker of the House needs to go. Dade Phelan is bad news. He's bad news for Texas. And Fire Dade is my hashtag that I use very often. Senator Brian Hughes, I appreciate you coming on the program tonight.
Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely, my friend. All right, folks. I mean it. You know, you got to look at Texas. We should be the model for the rest of the country. And in many respects, Texas is the model. But we have some problems here that we need to get handled. All right, folks, you should choose an air purifier like your life depends on it, because it just might. Canadian wildfire smoke has blanketed the United States, reaching as far as our southern states, and with wildfire season in full swing nationwide, toxic smoke is threatening our health. EnviroCleanse is military-grade air purification that is now available for your home. EnviroCleanse is specifically designed to wipe out airborne chemicals and viruses known to cause illness, allergies, and difficulty breathing. Even toxic gases and particles found in wildfire smoke are no match for EnviroCleanse. This is how you keep your family healthy, and this is why the Department of Defense chose EnviroCleanse to protect the air on board our Navy ships. And only EnviroCleanse comes with a free, professional air quality monitor, so you know your family's breathing purified air, or your money back. How do you get one? Well, visit ekpure.com. That's ekpure.com. Use code word NEWS for 10% off your EnviroCleanse air purification unit. You'll also receive the free air quality monitor plus fast free shipping. That's $150 savings right there. Visit ekpure.com, code word NEWS. That's ekpure.com, code word NEWS. All right, folks, Ron DeSantis. What a disappointment. You know, to think I really like this guy. Well, recently he said President Trump, lost the 2020 election. But not only that, that all the rampant voter fraud was President Trump's fault. I'll get to it next. You know, sometimes, folks, this election season literally leaves me dumbfounded. I wonder how some of these candidates think they are going to beat President Trump when they come out either attacking him, when they don't side with him against an overreaching Justice Department, or when they make claims that all of us believe in, and they make claims to say that we're all crazy and President Trump is crazy when it comes to election fraud in America. We know the drop boxes were real. We know the mail-in ballot scheme was real. We know that there were so many election irregularities that don't make sense. Statistically, it never could have happened. And so yet, Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida, who is like 40 points behind President Trump, has this to say about election fraud and President Trump. Watch.
Yes or no, did Donald Trump lose the 2020 election?
Whoever puts their hand on the Bible on January 20th every 4 years is the winner. Why did we have all those mail votes? Because of Trump turned the government over to Fauci. They embraced lockdowns. They did the CARES Act, which funded mail-in ballots across the country. Donald Trump signed that bill that funded the mail ballots that all the Republicans have been so concerned about. And also with the censorship of the Hunter Biden. That was Donald Trump's FBI. No, of course he lost.
Trump lost the 2020 election.
Of course.
Okay.
Joe Biden's the president.
You have got to be kidding me. See, over and over again, I lose more and more respect for Ron DeSantis, a guy who I think is still to this day a great governor, okay? Except he's flying around the country campaigning. I'm not sure he's paying attention to Florida. But this idea that it was President Trump's FBI, are you kidding me? The FBI was overrun with the deep state. The FBI was constantly a thorn in President Trump's back, neck, side, you name it. This FBI was so out of bounds, even when President Trump was in office, there was nothing President Trump could do about this. And the mail-in ballot scheme happened state to state to state. You're blaming state legislatures, not the federal government on this, though the federal government probably could have done more. But that's not President Trump that was in charge of that. Remember, his last 2 years in office, he had a split Congress. The idea that Ron DeSantis would come out and blame President Trump for this and then make the claim that Trump lost, that is not what any conservative wants to hear. It's not what any Republican wants to hear. We all watched 2,000 Mules. We saw the evidence in front of our very eyes. We saw the ballot dumps in the middle of the night before our very eyes. Don't tell us President Trump lost. You know who lost? You lost the Republican primary, Ron DeSantis. Let me play this little flashback for you about this freedom-loving guy who was pushing, you know what, Anya, the vaccine.
If you are vaccinated, fully vaccinated, the chance of you getting seriously ill or dying from COVID is effectively zero. If you look at the people that are being admitted to hospitals, over 95% of them are either not fully vaccinated or not vaccinated at all. And so these vaccines are saving lives. They are reducing mortality.
Turned out to be totally false. And I know what some of you will be saying. Well, President Trump was pushing the vaccine then, too. President Trump's warp speed was honestly an amazing feat to push this to market. The only problem was President Trump was duped. He was duped by the deep state. If President Trump made any mistake, he'd probably even admit it to you if he hasn't already had. That Dr. Fauci and Deborah Birx and the rest of those clowns inside the CDC and NIH were corrupt, devious, deceitful, and they only had this pharmaceutical industry's benefit at mind, not yours. President Trump got duped. Ron DeSantis, going down there, stopped with that he was some protector of liberty when clearly he wasn't. Let me play one other clip for you on a little separate subject. You know, I'm not a fan of Mitch McConnell. I used to be a fan of Ron DeSantis. I've never been a fan of Mitch McConnell's. Mitch McConnell got this at a gathering in Kentucky. Remember, Congress is out of session. This is in his home state. Watch. That, folks, is chance of retire. Now, Mitch McConnell, if you hear that in your home state of Kentucky, don't you think it's time maybe you ought to retire? Because Who can forget this? The stare to nowhere. Lord knows what happens. I've talked to some people. Some people said it may have been a seizure. You can roll it. I'll talk over it. Doesn't matter, really. Watch. This is him staring into oblivion. And it goes on and on and on and on and on. Now, I was concerned about his health when it happened. As I said, one doctor said it could have been a minor seizure he was happening when this happened. Who knows what else? I hope he got help. But this is what we're talking about when it comes for retirement. And I'll tell this to Ron DeSantis. Governor, you don't need to retire from politics. You just need to retire from running in the Republican primary. You just need to retire from running for the White House this time around. Heck, you do that now, get out of the way for President Trump. I may even support you next time around because I do like the things you've done in Florida. But I don't like what you're doing now. Not coming out with President Trump lost the election. President Trump was responsible for the voter fraud that we saw. Come on, give me a break. Ron DeSantis knows he was lying, just as Mitch McConnell knows it's time to step down. Both of these guys ought to do the right thing. If you want to do the right thing, you know what you need to do? You need to protect yourself with gold, and you need to do it today. We need the safety, privacy, security that only gold can provide you as a precious metal commodity that has the safety and security that no other investment really does. So how do you do this? My friends over at Birch Gold can help you. Just text America to the number 989898. You know, when it comes to people you can trust, Birch Gold has been supporting Real America's Voice for a while now. Our viewers say great things about Birch Gold. Why don't you try them? America to the number 989898. Do it today. Take the steps necessary to protect your portfolio. Birch Gold can help you do it. Again, America to the number 989898. Do it today. All right, coming up after the break, Democrats on The View are saying the economy is doing great. Really? You just can't see it yet, they say. So the question is, when will we see it?
Here are some of the headlines we are featuring today from your favorite news outlets at offthepress.com. It's another big day in the legal world of former President Donald Trump. Two things are happening. First, he has until the end of the day to answer concerns from prosecutor Jack Smith about weekend threats. Second, he is seeking to move his 2020 election case out of Washington and away from a judge he thinks doesn't like him. In the 2024 campaign, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis did his first big network interview and told NBC that there is no question about the outcome of the 2020 election. He said of Trump, of course he lost to Joe Biden. Another former aide to Vice President Kamala Harris is blaming her unpopularity on racism and sexism, not her poor job performance. And Elon Musk is making plans to live stream his fistfight with Facebook's Mark Zuckerberg on his X platform. For stories like these and more updates all day long from your favorite news outlets, go to offthepress.com.
All right, I was going to get to Joy Behar and The View, but forget it. We don't need to even hear what they're saying about the economy, okay? They're idiots. Let's listen to Megan Rapinoe talk about her favorite moment as a U.S. women's soccer player that just lost the World Cup out earlier than ever before. Listen.
Is there a memory that stands out to you right now in this moment?
I mean, probably equal pay chance after the final.
Equal pay? Equal pay? This should be your memory. Nice shot, Megan. Isn't that what President Trump said? Look, when you have blue, aqua, turquoise hair, and you are desperate to call attention to yourself because that's what you want, you better make the big kick, okay? But you didn't. And then, when you scream and yell about America being so bad, and you're out there apologizing for the greatness of this country, there's not a lot of love lost between me and women's soccer, women's World Cup soccer anyway. Equal pay. The men are subsidizing you, okay? Because nobody cares about your team. It's going to do it for us. It's not a great way to end it, right? Stinchfield's Army rolls thanks to you. I'm grateful for all of you folks. See you here tomorrow.
From Studio 6B on a Monday, getting a brand new week started. Glad you're in. As always, lots to get to tonight. Tonight is a night that, man, oh man, I could probably do 4 hours. Along, of course, Rick Delgado and Slick Rick, who will be here shortly. Mr. Delgado is going to have the news.
Yes, and I'll only be here for 2 hours.
And you'll be here for 2 hours along with me. How are you?
Right, I'm good. How are you?
Very good. How was your extended weekend? We did not see you on Friday for coverage of President Trump's speech. How was your weekend?
My long weekend was nice, but certain plans got shuttered at the last moment. So unfortunately, the trip was never made, but we'll reschedule. We'll do something in the future.